Ex-agency. Ex-agency?
Yeah.
Right. So, the one thing that agencies throw around all the time is you guys just failed recruiters. Like, you weren't very good at recruitment, so you ended up in TA. Is that a fair comment? Welcome back to another episode of RecTalk. I'm your host, Nitin Sharma, founder and CEO of RecTools.io. RecTools is the world's only whole-of-market supplier directory. So if you're a recruitment business, if you are a talent acquisition team and you're looking for a new supplier for your business and for your team, that could be compliance checks, that could be applicant tracking systems, that could be outsourcing your marketing, whatever it might be. Head over to RecTools.io. It's free to access, free to use, and will always be that way for our customers. Today's episode is a really interesting one. We're recording live today from RecFEST. I've got a panel here that are ready for the actual conversation that needs to be had, which is talent acquisition versus agency, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So before we jump into that, we'll do a quick round: who we are, where we sit in the sort of this industry we call recruitment, and then I'll hit you with some questions. Is that Bill? Sounds good. Should we start that way?
I knew you were going to ask me first.
Ladies first.
Charlotte, so I've been in recruitment now for around about 12 years. Started off in agency before and then, in-house ever since. So it'd be really interesting to see some views today. And I've got both sides of the coin, really. So, yeah.
Cool.
Dan Kane, so at a TA level, God, you made me feel old. I was agency for about 2 or 3 years and I've been in-house for about 23 years. I'm interested in this topic because I've got views on the good and the bad of what both sides of the fence do. So,
cool. Andy Long, head of resourcing, similar pathway to other two colleagues. Started off in agency, then transitioned over to in-house, and then I've worked various FTSE listed organisations.
Amazing. Thank you for being there.
Bit of a theme. Started off agency. I've been probably doing recruitment now for 23, 24 years, so half of that split. So the first half was agency consultancy side, and now headline TA, various industries for the last 12 years.
Amazing. Thank you.
I'm James, I'm the Managing Director of Thinking Circles. We're a recruitment marketing business. So we see both sides. We work with recruitment agencies and direct employers. I've never been a recruiter, though I have worked in recruitment agencies. So there is a theme. I worked at Randstad and Select Appointments. So much for being biased. Yeah, I'm not biased. Straight away, yeah? Yeah, so I have worked in it. So I've seen both sides of it, basically.
Amazing.
Hendrik, I've been in staff in recruitment since '96, that's a little bit older. Half of my history is in recruitment agency. I'm now the CEO of Hodlers, which is in-house ATS, and Mercury, which is CRM ATS for recruiters both. So we literally serve both markets.
Amazing. Guys, thank you very much for being here. I'm going to throw a bomb straight into the middle now, right? Ex-agency.
Yeah.
Right. So the one thing that agencies throw around all the time is you guys just failed recruiters. Like, you weren't very good at recruitment, so you ended up in TA. Is that a fair comment?
it was at the time I was rubbish at recruitment agencies.
I think it probably there is some element of truth of that. Although recruitment and TA is essentially a marketing role, what I was bad at was sales.
Yeah.
So, and maybe it wasn't the fact that I was working in an agency environment, but the agencies I was working for. There was too much focus on sales, not enough focus on your hiring manager experience and candidate experience. That didn't work for me, so I chose a completely different route. And I won't name the agencies that I worked for.
You can.
They were High Street, but I'm not going to name them.
Yeah. Brook Street, was it?
Yeah, similar. I think I would agree with Andy. There's some element of truth in it that you get out for particular reasons. For mine, it was that kind of burnout on this constant day-to-day sales. I used to be naturally good at consultative sales, but not good at driving doggedly hard sales sort of stuff. It's not the culture that I enjoy. That's why I got out. So I don't say there's a failure there. I think it's just a career progression. You're looking for something different. You reach a point in your career and you think, you know what, I'm not fancying this anymore. Simple as. But there are. I can get where that theory would come from. And I even thought about that really hard when I moved. I thought, am I just failing at what I'm doing? Or am I progressing? I've progressed.
First.
Yeah.
See, I have a theory on this, right? In the, I think recruitment today is a marketing job, not a sales job.
Yeah.
And so businesses that operate a sales business and a sales agency, they've got maybe 5 years left before they're out because the process just doesn't fall. You can't sell a candidate to a business. You know, you can't square peg around the hole, right? And so actually, yeah, you weren't failed recruiters. Actually, you could argue you were failed salespeople because you didn't like the sales element of the job.
See,
But actually, you're good marketing people.
Mine's so different to that. Like, I loved sales and was really, really good at the sales, but I wasn't good at doing it all. So when it came to sort of placing candidates, I felt like I could only focus on one area because there was so much to cover.
Yeah.
And the kind of agency, when I was an agency anyway, and I am talking like 10 years ago, it was very much scores on the doors, so leaderboards and all of that type of stuff.
Ring the bell,
I don't know. I think the environment for me was probably more than anything, and I actually didn't know whether I wanted to be more on the candidate side or go and do sales.
Yeah.
And it only happened that I went into in-house recruitment because at the time I was actually recruiting for Green King. In agency, and then they asked me if I was interested in interviewing for them. So that's how I ended up.
Did they pay a fee when you moved from agency to them?
I won't disclose.
Awful.
Yeah. What you said that was interesting there was that there has been an evolution of what agencies do.
Yeah.
And the ones that will survive are the consultative,
Yeah.
collaborative, the ones who engage properly. It's not just about sell and get the highest bill. And those are the ones that niche, clever, intelligent marketing as well. Completely.
Yeah, providing value without the need to make a transaction at that point.
Yes.
And kind of, but look, you all hear like the TA argument and agency side. We all hear the same thing, which is build a relationship with me. Don't spec into my line managers. Understand my challenges and that kind of thing. But relationships take time and need nurturing. And I've got sales targets to meet, guys. Like, my fucking director's breathing down my neck. So, of course, if I send you a CV and you don't do anything with it because you've got your process that you're sticking to, my argument is that's your process, not mine. I'm going to go to your MD or your finance director or your CMO, and I'm going to present them with a really nice candidate, and they're going to force your hand to deal with me, right?
Yeah.
So how do we get out of that cycle? Because you can't build a relationship. But, I'll pick up the phone and be like, Andy, sit in. I want to build a relationship with you. I said, well, you fucking what? You know what I mean? Like,
would I though? So if one of the if I think
I don't know,
about
would you?
the day is early. But if I think about the suppliers that we work with, so we're decision makers on who sits on the PSL, right?
Yeah.
The ones that I will repeatedly go back to do exactly that. They consult. They talk to me about building a relationship with myself, the function, the business. They're contacting me not because they've got a whole CV.
Yeah.
They're contacting me because they want a genuine interest to find out how our organisation works and to be there as a backup and safety net if we require it. And respect the engagement of an in-house team that they're churning through a fair bit of stuff themselves. Every organisation has a decent level of direct attraction. But no head of will ever achieve 100% direct attraction. No. It just can't. It's just not possible.
No.
So, therefore, it's that pipeline and of relationships that those individuals are looking to develop. So, going back to your original statement, if you just picked up the phone in a hand, you want to develop a relationship, it's possible that we talk.
Okay.
I think it's interesting because I actually rarely get cold called. The last few years, maybe it's just the nature of how my role's been set up. I rarely get cold calls. A lot of it tends to
because
be...
your number's not connected. That's
That's what it is, yeah.
You're off grid.
I've got the wrong number up there.
Yeah.
Apparently 999 is not my number. But no, I tend to get contacted more through LinkedIn and stuff like that. But the interesting thing for me is as people have started to move down that more marketing route, that more, especially social marketing route, if I get connected, if I get contacted, I'm then going in and looking at what they're about. Because I do get quite curious. And I'm not going to lie, I would not want to be a recruitment consultant in an agency now. Not because I think bad of them. I just couldn't do their job, right?
Yeah,
I just couldn't do their job, and I don't envy what they have to deal with on a B2B and target perspective. So I normally give them the moment to have a look. But the thing that drags me in is, can I see them contributing? Are they doing podcasts? Are they writing papers? Are they thinking about the industries they're
Is that
recruiting in?
consultative thing you're talking about? Right?
Yeah, yeah.
I call it the conscientious contributor, because I think even from an in-house recruitment perspective, that's how we attract candidates. We've got to be seen to care and be part of that industry.
Yeah, you want to see something, oh, that's good, I like that. And actually, if they're inch wide, mile deep in this particular vertical, then there's no reason why I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I want to bring you two in on this
because
because
PSL's too rigid though.
I don't like PSLs. I don't think they work.
I mean, agency side didn't like PSLs. Enjoyed being on some of them, guaranteed business roles coming through. Very difficult when I've got an ideal candidate for an organisation is you're not the PSL. I'm like,
I don't want to be.
you're not dealing with. I don't want to be. Yeah.
I don't want. We
But
guys used
one
to say that all the
candidate
time.
is
My guys
ideal.
used to say that. We don't want to be only PSL. So my job's to find the best candidates in the market, the best sort of suitable role for them. That's who I work for the candidate, not for you.
Well,
Mr.
exactly.
Client.
And if you're working for the candidate, you're going to represent them to 4, 5, 6 businesses,
Exactly.
and the candidate's going to want to work with you because you've got the opportunity for them.
That's it.
So that organisation is going to miss out. So I think PSLs have got to be far more dynamic if that's the approach that they take.
So if you don't like PSLs, and we know there's a better way, but how do you? Because the whole purpose behind it is to control the number of suppliers, right? There's a big procurement piece around that and stop people paying over the odds. So how do you almost sort of control that then?
It is very difficult. So we've hired around about 80 to 100 new people into the business who all have their own versions of how they like recruitment to be done. And, having that many people come in the business at once is a large amount of people bringing preference on agencies. If should it come to it, they need to use them. So before you know it, I mean, there was points where we were having invoices. There was invoices just coming onto my desk, and I was like, "Who is this? Where?" Like,
We spent how much?
like what? To the point as well of we actually filled a role internally. It was like for a director of engineer or something like that, and the agency, because they'd already started a search, and the guys hadn't told us that that they started this search, we still had to pay a fee. And I just think that with that level of no control, that's where really the spend just gets out of, it's bonkers.
Yeah.
So I think it is about an in-house recruitment team having some really good relationships with the managers that are existing, but then any new people that are coming on board as well, they have a really clear view of, how do we work things, and I suppose that the recruitment team is not seen as a barrier, because I think that is sometimes the issue, is a recruitment team is, you're the barrier, you're not letting us fill this role because you want to fill this role. And it's actually, where I sit, I think, actually, if we are struggling for this role, and if it's been 2 weeks, we've not really getting much traction, we've tested the market, done market insights, and they're just not there, it might be the area, it might be the type of role, let's give the right agency a shot. And I think it is about having that relationship and controlling it to cut costs.
I think to that point as well, around that PSL, or I actually prefer the language of approved.
Yeah.
ASL. And I think to that point, how do you control that? You do need to mark feelings, leave it open. So someone does come with the perfect, because if you get a perfect candidate, you can't then be perceived as an in-house team to be the blockers. I've had that so many times in organisations where you suddenly become the blockers that don't let anything through. The control point for me is always, if you get a CV from an agency, send it to us. We will help you assess if that is the perfect candidate. We'll work together on it. If it is, then we open it up. We open it up with top terms. We look at how we process it through. Add them to the approved supplier list if we need to as well. Or if it's a one-off, very, very niche.
There's two issues there, though. Because number one, unless I've taken a proper brief from you, unless I know your business and understand what you're looking for, there's no such thing as a perfect candidate. So I'm just like chucking mud at a wall and hoping it sticks. And if that's what I'm doing, just because I managed to send one candidate this one time that you really liked, doesn't mean that I'm a good agency and I deserve to be on the PSL, right? Yeah. My recruitment agency were on multiple PSLs. We didn't fill every job with every business. We were on those PSLs because they were like, we like how you guys operate. and you're open, you're honest, you do all the right things. And I think that's part of the problem is you end up with agencies being gaslit into thinking if you could just find me one good CV, you can be on the supplier list.
Yeah.
But that dilutes the supplier list because then you're like, well, any Tom, Dick, and Harry who just so happened to hit a home run on that one occasion is welcome on there, and there's no specialism and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I want to bring you in on it because I know you do a lot with your clients about the value add piece and kind of differentiating my agency from everybody else in my optometry recruitment world, as an example, right?
Yeah.
What kind of things are people asking you for?
Well, the guys
What
have
are you
already
doing?
kind of mentioned it, right? Anyone who can, just if you're doing something, you can stand out, right? So many, we're in business because so many recruitment agencies don't do that, right? That's the reason why a business like mine exists, to make us stand out to the businesses that want us to stand out, right? And it's not that difficult, right? You just have to add a bit of value. Look like you want to engage with that community and the people you want to talk to, right? It's not difficult at all, right? And in fact, you probably don't need a business like mine to even do it, right? You can do it yourself, right? I'm sure everybody around this table probably does it themselves anyway, right? We do it on maths when we do it for an entire business. But it's not difficult to poke your head above the water because most people just aren't really doing it and doing it particularly well. So that's the way you
Just to
easily
your
differentiate
point,
yourself.
when you are getting these emails and you
Yeah.
are getting approached, the first thing you're doing is going, all right, Joe Blogs, I'm going to check you out. And you're looking through their feed and you're like, oh, okay, hang on. You really do know your market. Oh, you were a...
But you
at
scale that up.
such an event.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
okay, rather than going, okay, all you're doing is just advertising. I'm recruiting for a tax accountant, tax manager, tax accountant, tax manager. And like, that's what you use your LinkedIn for. Okay. Am I really going to get value out of you?
Your social channels aren't a job board,
No,
right?
that's right.
It's not just there to just stick. Whether you're in-house, whether you're a recruitment agency, whichever side you're sitting, it's not there just to kind of chuck out. I'm going to say chuck shit and see what sticks. Right?
Yeah.
It isn't just there for that. It's to add value. It doesn't matter if you're doing it every day or once a week, as long as you're kind of adding something that's of value. And that stuff can just rise to the top. It always does, right? And being consistent. So that's the kind of stuff that's going to get on people's radar, and that's how you stick it. If you're in that optometry kind of space, or you're in construction, whichever space you're in, right? Just do it. Just be good at. Just consistent. Be interesting. Be authentic. All easy kind of buzzwords to stick out there and say, right? Because we talk about it, but it isn't that difficult, right? To stick your head, because one of the problems that a lot of recruitment agencies have is they still have the perception is they don't help themselves, right? They look like second-hand car salesmen, and they don't get away from that, right? Now there are businesses that are definitely moving in the right direction, but they don't help themselves, right? And everybody, loads of nods, right? They just don't help themselves,
Yeah.
and it's not that difficult to do to get away from that. It's just don't be a dick, right?
Yeah.
Don't be a prick
I've
online,
had it
right?
very, very recently. So when I actually got made redundant from my last role, I put my CV naturally on. It was one of the platforms, I think it was CV Live or something like that.
Other job boards exist.
Yeah, yeah. And
That's some vibe.
and having my CV on there, and obviously getting this role now, and then getting promoted to the head of recruitment role. I was at my son's football match, and it was a Sunday, and I had this call, and the way that this agency introed themselves was, if I told you I was from an agency, would you hang up? And I said, if I told you I was at my son's football match on a Sunday and you're calling my personal mobile number, yes, I'm going to hang up. Like, and he did not stop calling me, despite me saying, this is my personal number. I asked him how he got it. He said he got it off my personal CV. And I was like, for me, I just think that you're overstepping the barrier. Like, I'm just not.
Yeah, there's certain levels that you've kind of crossed each time.
Yeah.
Right, you found my CV, and I'm not looking for a job. It's been over however many months. So you've gone out of your way to find head of resourcing, talent acquisition leaders,
Yeah, and
CVs.
all he wanted
You
was
rang my
that.
personal number, and it's a fucking weekend. Like,
Yeah.
are you taking the piss? Yeah.
And he did not stop. To the point where he was calling me then off withheld numbers. And then once you have a withheld number, you think, oh, should I answer that? Should I answer that? So he didn't answer it. But then it'd call again, like straight away. So I thought, oh, this might be important. Honestly, it was around about 2-3 weeks this went on for. And I was
And
just
that's where the versus comes in. When you
Yeah.
say in-house versus agency,
Yeah. That's
the
versus,
battle.
yeah.
That's the coming up against. Whereas I would actually contest that it shouldn't be versus at all.
No.
Because all the best in-house models are
work together.
hybrid to some extent.
Yeah.
They might have a plug-in RPO, they might have an agency approved chain as well. whatever that looks like, it's always a mix of all the resources and sources where you can find people. So it shouldn't be versus, but that's what creates versus.
It is, exactly. Yeah.
But that's the sales mentality, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the difference between I run a sales agency too. Because just that opener is that pattern disruption opener, right? Can I have 30 seconds or do you want to hang up? That, if I told you this is a recruitment call, you're going to hang up. All right, fair enough, it's a pattern disruption. But that's a sales call, right? I expect my CRM vendor to sales for me. I don't expect someone who's trying to build a working relationship with me to, that's my take on it. And a lot of people don't like the fact that, I bang this recruitment, this marketing drug.
There's a separation as well between recruiter and recruitment agency. You've had a bad experience with a recruiter, might tar that agency with that.
I
Yeah.
am, yeah, naturally.
You'll have an amazing relationship as you think as a TA function with an agency. That person moves on, that relationship goes away, their knowledge of your business goes away. That agency is no longer your partner in that sense.
It's such a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because if you are a recruitment business, you're absolutely right. If anyone does something stupid, it's the recruitment business that's going to get the bad rap. But if I've got a good relationship with this person, they ain't got a relationship with my business, they've got a relationship with my staff. And when my staff eventually moves on and does something else, that relationship goes with it. And so it is a tough spot to find yourself in.
So how often as TA functions do you deal with multiple contacts from the same agency?
Oh,
Yeah, I've had that recently where it's been multiple different specialists within the same organisation contacting different managers in the business, contacting me directly. It's this kind of triple attack in terms of different angles that will
So
come.
I guess you want the one point of contact, but at the same time, then they know your business the best, and if they move on, they'll lose the relationship.
The difference being,
Balance.
I don't mind persistence if it's professional, but if it's undermining and just constantly pestering rather than persistent, there's a subtle difference there in that approach, and that again puts the versus back in because that gets your kind of. You always try and take a kind of a fair and a pragmatic approach to it, thinking they're only trying to do the job, but it can just become pestering rather than.
But this is where this whole marketing thing comes in. If they're contacting you and it's a value, what they're adding, right? It's not just kind of sell, buy, right? If
That's
it's
it,
other
we've just
stuff
been
that's kind
awarded
of
your
interest,
PSL, right?
you probably
That's
would be
what
like,
that is.
actually, I don't mind. Probably giving it to him, it could be relevant to them, right? That other members in that recruitment agency they might be running their own podcast, they might be running their own newsletter that is of interest to that part of the business. That, I think, is completely fine and legitimate, right? It is just that whole kind of sell. When it's the mentality. But this is the problem that agencies have, is this, like you said, that they're a sales engine as opposed to this consultative engine, which they really should be, which some of the better ones really are. They're getting that
This
way,
is
right?
it. The
They're
ones that
getting
got
that
it right have really got it right. And they're embedded, they're partners, that kind of thing.
I think there's larger organisations that are sat on PSLs for UK-wide delivery, for example. They service your account on 2 levels. You'll have, and the account managers that I've dealt with in the past have really got it. They really get the process. They are respectful of the process, but then the message doesn't permeate down to a branch level, where you've got individuals, and it's a cop shop. So individuals that are being, metaphorically hit hard with these sales targets, contact, are not respectful of the relationship from the account manager to an organisation. So you actually get this 2 level of service, and I wouldn't necessarily want to remove that particular account or that organisation because they've done some good work in our business, right? But it's making sure that
It's a cannon fodder mentality, though, isn't it? That's what it is. It's cannon fodders. They're like, I need to just,
And that professionalism part works because, for you guys, we've been in similar chat groups. Chat groups of, you get senior TA leaders in there. Regularly, almost weekly, there's a request. Anybody know a good agency for this?
Totally.
Anybody know a good headhunter for
Absolutely.
that? Constant. We're always looking for the good ones and the help and the support. So reputationally, you get them a few. You only need to kind of get a good reputation with 1 or 2 in the well share.
And that runs the other way, I suppose, as well, right? In that if you consistently cock up, then more and more people are going to hear about that within these networks and circles, right?
And that feeds back into the fallacy that in-house teams don't like agencies. We really do.
You sort of need them.
because
Yeah,
they
almost.
get us out of a hole more than often than not.
Do you think then those agencies that are like TA hate agency, they're the problem, right? You think that because actually you're part of the issue.
Yeah.
You're the people that we don't like.
Yeah.
100%.
I agree with
Yeah.
that. I totally agree with that. I've got some really great partnerships with some agencies
Yeah.
that are of choice, and it's because that they have that different level of approach to what I experienced when I was on, the full match. Like that's the agencies that feel that they've got it's a verse, I believe.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Totally. So tell me about some of the good stuff that the agencies are doing.
I mean, getting us out of holes every now and then.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, and there are roles that I would not want to touch myself or my team with a barge pole.
Right.
Not a chance. Why? Because you need several people working on that rec if it's C-suite. So you obviously have a consultant. What teams may not be aware of. You've got 6 researchers sat behind that
This is
particular
it.
consultant.
Yeah, they've got-
There's no way I've got the resource to be able to push that into one rec.
Yeah.
So if it's something that's incredibly critical like that, do I want to handle it myself? Hell no, because they could put so much resource on it.
It's interesting because you ask about what they do well, but actually I think if both sides are doing something particularly well, it's almost a marriage made in heaven. In the previous role, and the reason I say the PSL thing doesn't work, I won't say which company I was working for, but it did work in front of it. It was all IT recruitment. And I got to the point in Scotland where there was 3 suppliers I was working with. And we could all sit round the table, and where they brought their value was they would openly, without doing anything commercially sensitive, they would openly talk about the markets. They would openly sit there and debate with me about what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, what levers we need to pull. And I could challenge them, and we had a proper good discussion, and the debates were phenomenal. I was learning stuff from them, they were learning more about us. And I was able to say to them, right, I can tell looking at my resource plan and my strategic workforce plan, I don't think it's quite as sophisticated as that, but anyway, I could almost rag status the skill sets we were recruiting. So I could say to them, look, you're going to see all these roles come up, those ones are green, can do those with our eyes shut, amber ones, we'll give it a shot, but it'll probably come to you. The red ones, by the way, our team aren't even going to touch them. So we will come to you, but I might not come to all 3 of you. I might just go to you because I know you're good at this and you'll get exclusive on it. I might come to 2 of you, I might come to 3 of you. And I think because we could have that open, honest discussion, that partnership was phenomenal. And I still know the 3 main guys I dealt with to have a go. And at no point did they feel the need to sell or argue or do anything like that.
It's not sales role you're consultant, right?
Yeah.
That's the difference. It's look. Yeah, I think once you take that sales hat off and stop approaching recruitment as a sales business and start approaching it as a consultancy,
Yeah, definitely.
it changes it. It completely changes the approach and stuff, right? So you guys have just moved from the CRM world, agency, into the applicant tracking system, so the TA world, right? A conversation like this, there's probably your mind's probably firing on all cylinders.
Absolutely.
There's a real opportunity for you to introduce the good agencies to the right type of customer base,
You
right?
need them. I mean, so the reason we came up with the name Hot List is what we found when we looked at ATSs in the in-house space. It's about open, approved requisitions. What about ongoing talent pooling for passive talent with a skill set? So you maintain a strong hot list of people that at some point your managers can go, actually, I can create a need. We find everything to be too reactive when we've seen it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the agency plays its strength as well. You can have an open dialogue with an agency about a skill set. You're first in mind with them when they find a hot candidate. You can be the first person they introduce them to. And again, go back to that sort of PSL thing. I've approved the vacancy, here it is, give me 3 CVs. It's just archaic in my opinion. I want the best talent for our business. We've got part of our technology is very difficult to recruit for, part of the Microsoft stack.
Yeah.
So I need agencies that as soon as there is a great candidate, they'll get in touch with our TA team and they'll go this one.
Yeah.
Because location, skill set, combination is difficult. So again, I think that's what we're looking to do with the technology, constantly be identifying harder to find candidates, whether they're coming in-house through talent pools or agency. so you've got that hottest available at any time.
No, that's fair.
And agencies will be around for a very long time because of that specialism, because of the size, notwithstanding GDPR conversations, let's not dig that hole. But they can maintain bigger databases as they got more opportunity, which of course you can't do with an in-house team.
Right. This is all very utopian, right? If agencies do this, we'd engage with them, we'd do this, we'd do that. Let's be realistic, right?
Yeah.
If an agency specs a candidate into you guys and says, hey, these are the calibre of CVs that we work with, 9 out of 10 times you're going to be like, no, right? It's the PSL is up for renewal in what month are we in? Oh, yeah, in 6 months from now, right?
Yeah.
Try again then. Or we've just renewed it. It's like home insurance, right? So it's either just renewed or it's not due for a while,
It's
right?
a get out of jail free card. That's what
Yeah,
it is.
exactly, right? Or it's, you know, that candidate's already on our database somewhere. Or because you guys do use a lot of like excuses to kind of back these guys away. So, like, how do you get around that then, right? If I'm genuinely a good consultative agency, and all my guys are getting is PSL's not due for renewal, don't spec into our line managers, you're coming out of our process, we don't operate this way, we're okay, no agencies please, and that kind of thing. Like, how do you sidestep that? Or can you?
Evidence your interest in my organisation.
How?
Talk to me about maybe marketing releases that we've done, press releases, market updates. Talk
Okay.
to me about if it's FTSE listed, what's happening with our share price at the moment. Talk about public accessible information.
That's great if I'm a senior recruiter or a director of a business, right?
Yep.
If I'm a spotty-nosed kid just out of uni,
Yep.
and I'm, you know, wearing my first suit,
Yep.
and I'm like, oh, I see your share price has gone up this week.
Depends how
How do you feel about that? Like,
I would.
what the fuck
Like,
are you talking about?
I would
Like,
sit and listen to them because he's paid some. He's paid some interest in the organisation.
Go on then. Tell me about it. Yeah. No, fair.
Well, as long as
It's all
that
public
same,
accessible info.
yeah, as long as that same individual doesn't profess to me and the expert in the solution to all your problems, because you get a lot of that.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, you know, without dissing a demographic, spoilers,
Yeah.
it's, when they come in claiming to be an absolute expert and they've been doing the job for 3 months, that's not going to work.
I'm a specialist
Be authentic.
accountancy finance
Be
recruiter.
authentic, be honest.
Yeah.
I'm cutting my teeth in this. I'd love to learn more about your business. And even then, that's better than I'm an expert, I'll solve all your problems.
Yeah,
Because that's just not true.
That's really valid because there's a couple of agencies that have done that where they've actually come in and said, almost admitted their naivety, almost the vulnerability element. I don't know, look, can we have a
So
chat?
just disarming you with honesty, right? And kind of,
Look,
like, there's your pattern disruption.
I'm a sucker,
This is a
right? I'm a
sales call,
people
but-
person, but if someone approaches me and says, look, I'm new at this gig, I'm doing it.
You're going to get harassed by so many agencies out there as well. That guy's so easy to sell to.
And the truth is, there's two sides to this. If someone does exactly what Andy's just said there, then I'm likely to give them, it might sound stupid, a minute, 2 minutes, might turn into 5 minutes, right? And then I'm more likely to get to the point where if they phone me again, I know them, right? I'll have a chat, as long as they're not pushing themselves. But there is another side to this, right? And this is the bit where you said, is it possible, isn't it possible? This is the hard bit, and this is why I don't envy their job. Someone's phoning me and I'm having a day where the CEO's breathing down my neck, the CFO's breathing down my neck, I'm being pulled apart by horses pretty much, right? In my head, I want to go, fuck off, I'm busy. What I end up doing is I end up pulling out one of the cards of, sorry, we're dealing with that already,
Instead of
we've got a
TA
PSL,
yeah.
or
All
call
right.
me back another time when I'm free. I'm never free, right? Do you know what I mean? So, and that's why I think it is. Look, I get it; it's tough, but I think if people have got better humility about them, they stand more of a chance. And that chance might not be much bigger, but it's still that catch me at the right moment, and you might get.
Yeah, I think it's very much catch me at the right moment. And some of them as well. I've had some videos recently on LinkedIn, so they'll send you sort of messages around, you know, they'll do a video rather than text or like try and get your phone number or whatever. And I do find myself sometimes sitting there watching them because I just think, actually, all right,
We tell them to do that. We tell recruiters to do that.
there's
No, honestly, I
great
And
tech out there that
it's
does
a
exactly
legitimate
that,
point.
right?
You're probably going to watch it.
because it's not something that's been
Forced upon you.
Yeah,
Yes.
and also it's not something that it's a blanket. So
Yeah.
it's
You haven't
it's
copied and pasted
specific
this
to
into
me.
a mail.
Yeah.
You've said
Yeah.
my
It's
name.
not text.
It's personal.
Yeah.
It is personal,
Nice.
and like they intro the video by going saying hi, Charlotte, or whatever, and
Yeah.
I just think, oh, all right, then okay, you're actually directly speaking to.
Hi, first name.
But that's
Yeah.
that's half the battle, right?
Yeah.
You've got your attention in that.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly,
and if at some point there was a follow up for that, you'd be more inclined, right? But this is whole building of relationships things, right?
Yeah.
And it's easier than ever. You know, it isn't about phoning you at a weekend, right? I could have scheduled that I could have done it on a Friday and scheduled on a Monday.
Yeah.
It just isn't right. It's so much easier now.
Yeah.
Right? It's not rocket science. But so many people get it wrong, and that's why recruitment agencies still
I think
have
there's a lot of there's a lot of need of
perception.
instant gratification though, right? Because look, relationship building takes time, and
Yeah.
you guys will only ever get, say only, that's unfair. Majority of the content you get from agencies is when you are hiring a particular vacancy.
But I
And they'll
disagree.
spec
I
the
don't
CV.
think it doesn't have to take time. Right? If I sent you that video, then followed up and maybe a day later, you might well be more inclined to take the call, right? Boom, you've already, you know, it can be as quick as that, and then the relationship starts, right? You might not give me the role straight away, right? But it
I think
starts.
it's about being in the background, isn't it? Being
present.
With someone.
It's about being present.
Because I still remember the guy's. I have forgot the name, but I remember that his face in my head now because I watched my videos.
Yeah.
It's like about being memorable, sticking out in a oversaturated.
You're now going to get
environment.
flooded with videos.
Yeah.
Right? That's what's going to.
So if you're going to send Charlotte a video, dress up like a clown or something. She'll remember that.
I think you've got to maintain a relationship though, because to your point a minute ago, we wouldn't want to be a recruiter now. I wouldn't want to be a recruiter today.
Yeah.
I'd love to have been on post-pandemic again, when the market survived.
Yeah.
If I look at my inbox and how many specs, and I had an amazing sort of video intro that started from my LinkedIn profile onto the CV of a candidate talking through it. I watched the whole video, like I said. But, you know, I wasn't receiving specs 18 months ago. I get them every day now.
Yeah.
I use them everything every day. Now, when the market really picks up again and that becomes difficult, it'll be us reaching out to the agencies again. So you just got to strike that balance.
Yeah.
Well, agencies forgot how to do BD. Right? Well, they did BD, right? They just didn't do it, right? They just and what happened is those agencies grew a lot at that point. There was a lot of new blood into the space, and then over the last 2 years, when everything's got shrunk and contracted,
Yeah.
that blood doesn't really know how to communicate properly or work or do BD or engage or build these relationships. So that's why it's all a bit of a mess. Right, and that's why you're seeing businesses, your agencies go out of business because they took their foot off the gas because it was so good for so long, and also probably these really shitty practices in governance all just came into place, never been able to work out. Right, that's the problem. There's never been able to work out the business. So that's one of the reasons why it's, you know, you're getting these kind of specs now. They're literally just stamping on the gas, trying to do something, but they should have been doing it, you know, 12 months ago, 18 months ago. Right?
You can tell the agencies that have got the old school targets. Do you know what I mean? And this is where you get the Sunday call, right?
Yeah.
And this is where you get someone just jumping in with, I'm an expert. I'm a niche expert boutique search agency. You ask them
Someone
about,
sat there going,
you ask them
"Oh, I can't
about,
call
you
the
ask
agency
them
that."
about Python, and they come out with all sorts of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But what all of you've described here is it's finding out a good entry point. So the video is a good thing because you're more likely to watch it because you'll watch it when you've got time. You might even watch it on Sunday when your son's football game's going pear-shaped and you're thinking, I'm just going to watch this for a minute, right? Well, that's appropriate because you've done it in your own time.
Yeah.
So I think if an agency's trying to sell and they can find a good entry
I
point
think it's a bit
that's
intrusive now. It's like
convenient.
form. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're on the end of the phone, you feel like a bit like you have to reply there and then with your final answer. Whereas actually, if you've got something to reflect back on and go back to when you've got time to process something, human like naturally you're like, oh, actually, give that time down.
Look, it's
And that sort of stuff that leads to a phone call is fine because the agenda is clear and you've had time to think about your answer and then when we go to are we doing business or not, I'm more comfortable giving you my reasoning if the answer is no or yes or whatever.
But then that also kills the cold call fear from both sides. And one feels like they've been intruded on, the other one feels like they're getting forced into it, and they're literally shitting themselves on because their director's breathing down their throat, say this, say that. And it kills
Cold
that.
calling shouldn't be a thing in recruitment. You shouldn't have to cold call.
Yeah.
Your calls should be warm because there's plenty of ways to introduce yourself, like you say, right, with the video and all the rest of it. There's so many ways to make those soft touches so that when you do finally get them on the phone, they kind of know who you are.
Yeah.
You know, that might be because they watch you on a podcast or they're connected to you on LinkedIn and they see a lot of your content.
Yeah.
So in their head, they're already formulating this picture of who you are and what you're like and what you enjoy and everything else, whatever it might be. Like, we knew of each other long before we ever met, and long before we ever did any business together, right? And like, it wasn't oh yeah, I need to pitch to him to win this work. It was oh yeah, look, this is what we do. Yeah, okay, cool, let's do it. Because we knew of each other, and there was that mutual kind of understanding of, yeah, he's quite high up in the TA world. Oh yeah, he's a local recruiter that owns a recruitment agency. And if we ever need, like, you know, and look, our thing at the time was always, we started off generalist and we had to figure out where our niche was and that kind of thing. But every single thing that we did that we're talking about now, it led us to a more like sort of refined proposition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's no room for a generalist agency that can do everything, and because that's kind of what you guys are.
Well, that's what our own TA team does.
That's it, yeah.
So
Yeah.
the high street roles that you would traditionally use maybe a high street agency for. We've got teams to look after them. We don't need want partners to do that. We want partners that are able to deep dive into specialisms that we don't have the resource or the time to do. And yes, the rate is a little bit higher, but you accept that because the amount of work.
But that exactly. The means justifies the end.
Totally
justify that thing.
And when that's done properly, it's attached to proper forward strategic workforce planning.
Yeah.
We know the next 12 to 24 months what we're hiring, how many of those we're hiring, and you cut up your model to suit that. What are we taking in-house? What we're pushing out to our suppliers? What do we need to do? Do we need a little project over here because there's a spot in the summer? Whatever that looks like. That good planning like that, you then engage your agencies and your consultancies at the right moment, at the right time, and you know how much that's going to cost you, because that's why the approved supply chain sits there as well. So you've got a model there. Yeah, I think without leaving it carte blanche, there is still always scope for the ad hoc. I've got a lucky CV, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
You know,
And that might be where it starts, right? But continue to add the value off the back of that. Yeah. All right. Let's round this off then with one thing you wish the agencies that you get approached by would stop doing, and one thing you want them to start doing. Should we go this way around to give you a chance to think about it? Yeah.
So something they should start doing.
Yeah, something they need to stop doing and something they need to start doing.
I think stop a general average. You know, work with us, this is what we do, whatever. Be really, really specific. Someone, like I said earlier about technical skill set, someone appreciates those skills are hard to find in the market. They identify where our need is likely to be, and then they introduce very well grounded introduction. This particular candidate with this skill set, these are the people I can find. This is where a specialist specialise. And I think if someone can understand where you're going to be of value, and then it's just about getting the cadence right. So many of the agencies are investing in sequence cadence software. You can see it a mile off. So if you've got to get that personal touch, to your point, the right sort of sequence and the right timing, and make a person specialist. And I think when people do that to us, they're successful. We use agencies regularly. We do 80-20 probably in-house.
So we work with both, right? So we work with direct employers and the agencies. So the agencies need to, I think, stop blaming the in-house guys, right, for being the blockers. Right? I think there's too much. We see that all the time. This is why we can't get up, because they're blockers. It's like, well, no, there are ways around this, right? There is just more intelligent ways to go about this, and more communicative ways, and human ways, more empathic ways of kind of building those relationships. So that's, I think, what they need to do, right? Is stop kind of blaming you guys for the reason why they're not working, right? Is look internally. And what they need to do better is they need to look internally. They need to kind of like, the recruitment agency space has a problem in the perception, right? And so they need to be better at being able to sell themselves as an industry, right? Most people, when they move in-house, have probably come from a recruitment agency. I don't know anyone. It rarely works. You go straight into as being in-house recruiter, right? And there's a reason why there's some of these kind of things happening. That's what we talked about today, right? But the industry itself has a bit of a perception problem. So they need to look internally and try just to make themselves. And that's the way, again, put your head above the water and start look better. Separate yourself from your head. So they just need to be more reflective, right? Way more reflective on what they can and can't do.
I think both points in the one for me would be don't bypass us or exclude us as an in-house function, include us in everything, and that doesn't mean don't approach hiring managers direct. I've matured my thinking around that and thinking that I don't mind direct approaches to hiring managers because they're the experts in what they're hiring as well. But include us in that.
CC you in.
Yeah, I would almost to the point of encourage it, build relationships in the business, and encourage the hiring managers to be part of that as well. Say that if agencies making approaches and you think they're credible, include us, include us, include us, and it's as simple as that. Stop bypassing it, include everybody in the process. That's a better way in than sneaking around the back door, thinking because you get backs up, and that's the part where I've matured a little bit, thinking stop getting annoyed at them and try and get them to build the relationships a little better.
Yeah, it's almost your job to coach them.
Yeah.
Like they're the naughty child. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
Do more of this.
Yeah.
And then you'll get the desired outcome
Come and
rather
talk to
than
us, yeah.
expecting them to figure out. Okay, these are the 6 things I can't do.
Yeah.
Maybe this one he'll let me do. Yeah.
Pretty similar, really. Hiring manager contact is fine done in the right way. The one thing that really pushes our buttons is going to be just throwing random CVs at hiring managers. So you bypass them and you're trying to give a bit of product. Chances are the individual won't know anything about a specific requisition. They won't know the detail. They just fire a CV. They may land it. They may land a role. They may get a win, but they won't be used again. So stop just specking CVs and really start investing in a relationship with the organisation.
Yeah. Quite similar, and I'm going to talk this on the basis of short game, long game, right? So short game, the cold calling, agency know that's a bad entry route. You know, most recruiters fear the business development call, so you're onto a loser straight away. So it's rarely a good way in, and rarely gets a good response. At the start thing, which actually I've seen some agencies do this really well, going to your point with the videos, play the long game, make sure you've got the right marketing out there. You're needing to sell you as an organisation and the individuals that work within the organisation, and in such a way that you're attracting the right clients in the same way as we do the candidates. You know, our employer brand's about attracting the right people but putting off the wrong people. And I think if you play the long game, then that's going to work, because that will get my attention much quicker.
And the long game might not even be as long as you think.
No, it might be a matter of days and weeks, right? It's not. But actually, that long game, they might have been doing stuff well before the fact that I've seen it. But actually, I've seen it probably today and thought in 2 days' time, I need to give them a call.
No, thank you. I like that.
I think just everything that everyone said, really. And that's last. You've done the hard work for me, but yeah.
Don't send me videos on a Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, do you know what? I wouldn't even mind a video on a Sunday, but an intrusive call on personal mobiles. I think don't take advantage of somebody's position in a company and, you know, take advantage of their personal life with that. Yeah. I think, you know, trying to get sales in that way, it's just automatically going to put that person on the back foot. Like it's just doesn't. It's not these days. We shouldn't be doing that.
No.
And I think just really understand your market, understand what you're good at, who have you got in the team, where are their strengths, and just try and focus on one thing rather than everything.
I love that. No, brilliant. Right, I think has anyone got any closing thoughts, or should we wrap this up?
I think
Yeah, that was a good way to finish it. Yeah. Guys, I want to thank you guys for giving us part of your day here at RecFest. It's been pretty good so far. We're going to get wrapped up and then probably just go for a little wander, aren't we? So thank you for listening once again. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing and all the rest of it. Keep an eye out, because there will be a agency versus TA with agency representatives next time. So I'd be interested to
Can't
see
wait for that.
what they think. Be keen to watch that one.
Yeah, well, then make sure, like, if you come on, but you've got to watch what they said first.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, this is good. No, but yeah, appreciate this, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank
you. Brilliant.
Thank you. Cool.
Everything's gone numb and I had spiders crawling all over me. I'm trying not to freak out.
This tent is alive with stuff, basically.
I was like, don't freak out, don't freak out.
Scratching a leg, some of the time.
Oh, I do.